Candle Part 1. The Forgotten Curse of Scorpio, a secret written in the stars. There is a secret buried not just in the stars, but in your very soul. A secret that has echoed across 8 long centuries and still shapes the lives of Scorpios today. Most will never hear of it. Fewer still will understand it. But you, Scorpio, you have always felt it. That unseen weight. That haunting sense that life is pushing you through endless cycles of destruction and rebirth. That strange knowing that your soul was marked long before you were born. Tonight, we uncover the truth. Stay with me until the end, for this is no ordinary story. By the time we finish, you may never look at your own life the same way again. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Let us travel back, far back. The year is 1225. In a hidden monastery, tucked away in the shadows of the Pyrenees Mountains of southern Europe, a circle of monks, astrologers, and mystics gather beneath the cold glow of the night sky. These were no ordinary stargazers. They believed the heavens did not just reveal the fate of kings or predict the weather. They believed the stars told the story of the soul itself and of the great cosmic forces that shape the unseen realms of karma. That year, as their eyes traced the patterns of the celestial dance, they saw something astonishing. A rare triple alignment. Mars, the bringer of fire and conflict. Pluto, the ruler of death, rebirth, and deep transformation. The South Node, the gateway of karmic residue from past lives. All converging under the dark, magnetic sign of Scorpio. To them, this was no random alignment. It was a cosmic event of staggering importance. One that would send ripples through time, embedding itself in the soul stream of those born under its shadow. They recorded it in secret scrolls. They named it the Curse of the Phoenix. But let me ask you this, was it truly a curse? Or was it, as we Buddhists might understand, an invitation, a test of spiritual readiness? For in Buddhism, we know that suffering is not an accident. It is the great teacher, the catalyst for awakening. And those souls born beneath this ancient alignment were not condemned to suffer. They were called to transform. The monks wrote of a karmic imprint that would pass down through Scorpio lineages from that night forward. Scorpios would not live soft lives. They would be marked by cycles of death and rebirth, not always literal, but always soul deep. Intense emotional landscapes, rivers of feeling that others cannot fathom. Encounters with betrayal and loss, designed not to punish, but to awaken. A deep, unquenchable pull toward truth, even when truth burns. Where other signs would bask in comfort or dance lightly through life, Scorpio was chosen to walk through shadows, to confront not just the darkness of the world, but the darkness within. Why Scorpio? As a longtime researcher of both astrology and Buddhist wisdom, I have pondered this deeply. In Buddhist teachings, we speak of samsara, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Most beings are trapped within it, driven by attachment, aversion, and ignorance. But certain souls are called to see through the illusion, to penetrate the veils of Maya and awaken. Scorpio is such a soul. Ruled by water and Pluto, Scorpio is the sign of depth, mystery, and transformation. It is the sign that swims to the bottom of the river of life, seeking the hidden truths others fear to face. And in that depth lies both the danger and the gift. The danger, to be consumed by shadow. The gift, to become the phoenix, master of both darkness and light. Let me tell you a story. Many of you know the legendary painter Frida Kahlo, a quintessential Scorpio soul. Her life was marked by immense suffering. A horrific bus accident left her in chronic pain. Her great love betrayed her. She faced isolation, physical torment, and emotional agony. And yet, what did she do? She transformed her pain into art, into vision, into beauty that touched the world. This is the essence of the Scorpio path. It is not about avoiding the flames. It is about using them as fuel for rebirth. The monks did not fully understand this. In their scrolls, they warned of the dangers, that the curse could drown a Scorpio in bitterness or isolation, that many would fall, unable to bear the weight of their karmic trials. But what they failed to see was this. The curse was also the key, the very force that would forge the strongest souls into spiritual warriors. As the Buddha taught, no mud, no lotus. Without the mud of suffering, no lotus of awakening can bloom. And Scorpio was destined to bloom, not in spite of the darkness, but because of it. So what does this mean for you, Scorpio? If you have ever felt that life pushes you through endless cycles of loss and rebirth, if you have felt emotions so deep they terrify others, if you have faced betrayals and yet risen again and again, you are not cursed. You are being forged. You are walking the ancient path of the phoenix, whether you remember it or not. But be warned, the curse still echoes today. It hides in modern Scorpio, lives in subtle ways, patterns of sabotage, cycles of toxic relationships, fears of your own power. In the next part of this journey, we will explore exactly how this ancient imprint still shapes Scorpio lives, and how you can finally begin to break free. Because remember this, the curse was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to awaken you. And now, Scorpio, your awakening begins. If you feel this truth stirring within you, if you recognize this path in your own life, declare it in the comments. Backhand index pointing right, I break the curse. I rise. Let your voice join the chorus of phoenixes awakening across the world. Candle Part 2, The Weight of the Curse, How It Shapes Modern Scorpio Lives. Candle. In the ancient monastery scrolls, the monks warned of a great danger, that this karmic imprint, born from the stars, would echo across centuries, and many Scorpio souls would remain trapped within its grasp without even knowing it. But they did not foresee the modern world. Today, the curse of the phoenix still lives, not as some dramatic curse of fire and doom, but as subtle patterns that wind through the emotional lives of Scorpios everywhere. And these patterns can shape an entire destiny. The question is, can you recognize them before they consume you? Let us explore the emotional weight of the phoenix. One of the most difficult aspects of this ancient imprint is the depth of emotional experience it brings. Scorpios are not meant to skim the surface of life. They are built to feel, fully, deeply, painfully. But in the modern world, where superficiality is prized and true emotional depth is often feared, this gift can feel more like a curse. Many Scorpios grow up being told they are too intense, too sensitive, too emotional, too serious, and so they begin to suppress this depth. Or worse, they turn it inward, becoming trapped in cycles of self-doubt, self-criticism, and inner isolation. A story of the silent phoenix. Let me tell you the story of a Scorpio client of mine. I will call her Mira. Mira was a gifted healer, deeply intuitive, wise beyond her years. But for most of her life, she carried an unbearable loneliness. No matter how many friends surrounded her, she felt as though no one truly saw her. In every relationship, she would give all of herself, her time, her love, her wisdom. But again and again, she was met with betrayal, abandonment, or indifference. I must be cursed, she told me once, with tears in her eyes. Every time I open my heart, it gets burned. I smiled gently and replied, No, Mira, you are not cursed. You are a phoenix, but you have not yet learned to rise. You see, her suffering was not random. It was the echo of the ancient Scorpio pattern, her deep longing for soul-level connection, and the pain of facing those who could not meet her there was part of her initiation. She was being taught not to close her heart, but to refine her discernment, not to stop loving, but to love from a place of empowered truth. The Buddhist view, karma and the Scorpio path. From a Buddhist perspective, this is a clear karmic pattern. The south node in that ancient alignment represents unresolved karmic imprints. For Scorpio souls, this often manifests as deep wounds from past lives, wounds of betrayal, abandonment, or power struggles. These wounds magnetize similar experiences in this life, not as punishment, but as opportunities for resolution. In other words, until you master the lesson, the pattern repeats. For many Scorpios, this becomes a painful cycle. They crave deep, authentic connection, but their unhealed wounds attract partners or friendships that echo the betrayals of old. The resulting heartbreak reinforces the belief that they are cursed or unworthy, and so the wheel turns. The challenge is to recognize this pattern and transform it through conscious awareness, compassion, and spiritual practice. The patterns of the modern curse. In my years of studying Scorpio souls, I have seen the curse manifest in modern life in 5 key ways. Keycap 1. Self-sabotage before success. Many Scorpios fear their own power. Right before achieving a breakthrough, in love, career, or healing, they pull back, as though subconsciously believing they do not deserve it. This is the karmic imprint whispering. It is not safe to shine. You will be punished for your power. But this is an illusion, and one that must be broken. Keycap 2. Attracting emotionally unavailable partners. The longing for depth leads Scorpios to seek profound connection. But until their own inner wounds are healed, they often attract partners who cannot meet them fully. Partners who mirror the old patterns of abandonment or betrayal. Keycap 3. Fearing vulnerability. Having been burned before, many Scorpios build walls. They become masters of secrecy, revealing little of their true selves, even to those closest to them. But this armor also prevents them from receiving true love and intimacy. Keycap 4. Living in extremes. Scorpios are drawn to the edges of experience. They feel everything or nothing. They love completely or not at all. While this intensity is part of their power, it can also lead to burnout, emotional collapse, or isolation if not balanced. Keycap 5. Carrying ancestral wounds. Many Scorpios unconsciously carry the wounds of their lineage, especially regarding power, sexuality, and trust. Without conscious healing, these inherited burdens weigh heavily upon them, shaping choices, relationships, and self-worth. Why this happens? The Phoenix's dilemma. The root of these patterns lies in the very nature of the Phoenix path. To be reborn, one must first die. But many Scorpios resist this inner death. They fear letting go of old identities, attachments, or wounds, even though clinging to them only prolongs suffering. As the Buddha taught, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal. You are the one who gets burned. In the same way, many Scorpios hold on to past betrayals, grudges, or fears, believing that doing so will protect them. But in truth, it only keeps them trapped in the lower spiral of the curse. A path forward. The way out is through. To break the curse, Scorpio must embrace the full cycle of the Phoenix. Fire willingness to enter the fire of transformation. Fire courage to surrender old patterns and identities. Fire wisdom to rise from the ashes, not bitter, but empowered. This is the essence of true spiritual alchemy. In the next part of our journey, we will explore this path in depth. How Scorpio can heal karmic wounds through conscious practice. How to break the cycles of sabotage and isolation. And how to fully embody the spiritual power of the Phoenix, not as a victim of fate, but as a master of transformation. If you recognize these patterns in your own life, if you feel the weight of this ancient imprint, declare it now in the comments. Backhand index pointing right, I break the curse. I rise. Your voice matters. Your awakening matters. Candle Part 3, The Scorpio Soul Contract, a deal written in the stars candle. We have seen how the ancient monks observed the strange cosmic alignment, how they feared it would mark Scorpio souls with a karmic weight that would echo through time. And we have seen how this imprint shapes modern Scorpio lives, through deep emotional patterns, self-sabotage, isolation, and cycles of rebirth. But now we come to the heart of the mystery, because what those monks recorded as a curse was in truth something far deeper and far more sacred. It was not simply a burden. It was a soul contract, a deal your soul made before this lifetime even began. The nature of soul contracts. In both esoteric astrology and Buddhist philosophy, the idea of a soul contract is well understood. In Buddhist terms, we might call it a karmic vow or a self-chosen lesson. It is not imposed from outside. It is the choice of the soul itself, a deep, pre-incarnational commitment to a path of transformation. Why would any soul choose such a path? Because the greatest growth lies in the greatest challenges. As the Bodhisattva vow teaches, I will enter the fires of samsara again and again, until all beings are free. Likewise, the Scorpio soul chose to incarnate under this ancient imprint, not to suffer meaninglessly, but to awaken through that suffering, to walk through fire, so as to embody the wisdom and compassion that can only arise from transformation. The contract of the Phoenix. The Scorpio soul contract can be understood as having several key vows. Fire, I will confront the darkness within myself and the world. Fire, I will not fear death, physical, emotional, or spiritual. Fire, I will use my suffering as the alchemical fire for awakening. Fire, I will transform betrayal into wisdom. Fire, I will embody both shadow and light, without being consumed by either. Fire, I will guide others through their own darkness. This is not a light path. It is not a path for the faint of heart. And yet, it is the path Scorpio was born to walk. A story of the alchemist Phoenix. Let me share with you the story of Leonardo DiCaprio, a famous Scorpio and an embodiment of the soul contract in action. Though often known for his fame and success, Leonardo's life reflects many classic Scorpio patterns. Intense emotional depth, passionate environmental activism, fighting to expose the hidden destruction of our planet. A tendency to withdraw from public life to protect his energy. A relentless drive to uncover truth and bring it to light through his work. Behind the glamour, he is a soul shaped by the Scorpio contract, walking the line between light and shadow, success and solitude, passion and privacy. Like many Scorpios, his life is a constant dance with transformation. And through this dance, he serves as a mirror for others, showing both the dangers and the gifts of the Phoenix path. Why Scorpio was chosen. As a longtime researcher of astrology, I often meditate on this question. Why Scorpio? Why this sign for this contract? The answer lies in Scorpio's innate qualities. The courage to face the unseen and the uncomfortable. The capacity to hold both ecstasy and agony within a single heart. The ability to love deeply and to survive when that love is torn away. The gift of psychic perception, seeing the truths that others hide, even from themselves. The instinct for emotional alchemy, transmuting suffering into compassion and wisdom. In Buddhist terms, Scorpio mirrors the path of the advanced practitioner, the one who does not flee samsara, but transforms it from within. The danger of forgetting the contract. But here lies the great danger. Most Scorpio souls are born into this world forgetting the contract they once made. As the Buddha taught, all phenomena are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, a shadow. And so the soul, upon incarnation, becomes trapped in the illusions of the ego and the pain of the past. Many Scorpios, sensing the weight of their path but not remembering its purpose, fall into cynicism, bitterness, self-isolation, addiction, emotional numbness. They begin to believe that life is cruel, that the universe is against them, that they are cursed. But the truth is, they are remembering the pain, but not the purpose. And this is where the awakening must occur. The Phoenix's true purpose. The true purpose of the Scorpio soul contract is not survival. It is transformation for the sake of all beings. As the Phoenix rises, its flames light the way for others still trapped in darkness. In Buddhist wisdom, we understand that the awakened being is not one who escapes the world, but one who returns to it to help liberate others. In this way, the Scorpio path is not selfish. It is a path of compassion through mastery of suffering. Every heartbreak, every loss, every death and rebirth cycle you have endured, Scorpio, it was never in vain. It was preparation, so that when you rise, you do so not only for yourself, but for the world. How to remember the contract. The first step is awareness. Know that the depth of your feelings, the intensity of your experiences, these are not flaws. They are the signs of your ancient path. The second step is acceptance. Stop fighting the fire. Embrace it. Use it to burn away what no longer serves you. The third step is service. Share your story. Guide others through their own transformations. Become a living example of the Phoenix risen, not unscarred, but radiant with wisdom earned through fire. The call to awaken. In the next part of our journey, we will go deeper still. How to consciously break the remaining chains of the curse. How to integrate your shadow, not fear it. How to rise, fully and unapologetically, as the Phoenix you were born to be. But remember this, Scorpio, you are not cursed. You are entrusted. Entrusted with the rare and sacred power to turn pain into prophecy, darkness into light. This is your contract. Now it is time to remember it and to live it. If this resonates with your soul, if you feel the stirrings of this ancient contract within you, declare it now. Backhand index pointing right, I remember my contract. I rise. Together, we rise. Together, we transform. Candle Part 4, Modern Traps of the Curse. How Scorpio's power is still shackled today candle. We now understand that the so-called curse of the Phoenix was not a punishment, but a soul contract, an agreement to walk through fire so that others might one day be guided by your light. But here is the challenge. Most Scorpios today are still caught in the old patterns of the curse, unconsciously trapped in emotional cycles that keep them from fully rising. In a world of endless distraction, superficiality, and ego-driven culture, it is all too easy for a Scorpio to forget the purpose of their path and become ensnared in modern traps that dim their true power. Let us explore these traps and how to begin freeing yourself from them. The first trap, the fear of your own power. As a longtime student of both astrology and Buddhist philosophy, I have seen this again and again. Many Scorpios fear the magnitude of their own inner power. You see, when a Scorpio soul is aware, even subtly, of their deep capacity for truth-seeing, emotional intensity, and transformational force, there is often an instinctive pullback. If I let this power out, what will happen? Will people fear me? Reject me? Will I lose control? This is a form of self-imposed exile. Rather than embracing their phoenix energy, many Scorpios shrink, becoming smaller versions of themselves to fit the comfort zones of others. But as the Buddha taught, you yourself must strive. The Buddhas only point the way. No one can give you permission to embody your full self. That permission must come from within. The first step is to stop apologizing for your depth, your truth, your intensity. You are not made for shallow waters. The second trap, emotional armor that blocks intimacy. Because Scorpios feel so deeply, and because they are often burned by betrayal, many unconsciously build walls of emotional armor. No one will hurt me again. But in protecting themselves, they also prevent the very intimacy and connection they crave. Buddhist wisdom reminds us, attachment brings suffering. Aversion brings suffering. When you cling to the need for absolute safety, or push others away in fear, you are still caught in the cycle of samsara. True freedom arises not from perfect safety, but from the courage to remain open, even knowing the risk of pain. The phoenix is not immune to fire. It embraces the flames, knowing that through them, it is reborn. The third trap, attraction to shadow relationships. Another modern expression of the curse is the Scorpio tendency to attract emotionally unavailable, chaotic, or even destructive partners. Why? Because your soul recognizes the karmic mirrors in these people. Unconsciously, you are drawn to those who activate your old wounds, so that those wounds can be seen and healed. But if you do not recognize this dynamic, you will remain trapped in toxic cycles of pain and betrayal. As the Buddha said, pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Pain in relationships may arise, but ongoing suffering happens when we repeat the same unconscious patterns. Your task is to bring mindful awareness to your attractions. To ask, is this connection feeding my awakening or my unconscious wounds? Choose partners who support your rising, not those who chain you to your past. The fourth trap, spiritual bypassing and the illusion of detachment. In recent years, I have seen another trap emerge, especially in spiritually inclined Scorpios. Spiritual bypassing. After so much pain, many Scorpios retreat into spiritual concepts as a defense mechanism. I don't need love. I am above these emotions. Everything is illusion. While these ideas contain truth, they can become an escape, a way of avoiding the raw, embodied work of emotional healing. Buddhist wisdom is clear. Realization must be embodied. True awakening does not bypass the body or the heart. It integrates them. The phoenix must pass through the ashes, not float above them. A story of the awakened phoenix. Let me share the story of a Scorpio man I worked with. I will call him Ravi. Ravi was a brilliant spiritual seeker. He had studied Buddhism, Tantra, astrology, and could quote wisdom from many traditions. But despite his knowledge, he was deeply lonely. Relationships would start with intensity and passion, then collapse into betrayal or disconnection. In our work together, it became clear. He had built a fortress of spiritual concepts around his heart to avoid the raw pain of past wounds. If I feel nothing, I cannot be hurt, he told me. But this was not true freedom. It was another form of bondage. Through deep practice, meditation, shadow work, authentic relationship, Ravi gradually reclaimed his capacity to feel, to love, to grieve. And in doing so, he finally began to rise, not as an abstract seeker, but as an embodied, compassionate force of transformation. The fifth trap, carrying ancestral karma unconsciously. Finally, One of the most insidious traps of the curse is the unconscious inheritance of ancestral wounds. Many Scorpios carry deep karmic imprints from their family lines around trust, power, sexuality, survival. Unless consciously worked through, these patterns continue to shape choices and behaviors in this life. In Buddhist practice, we speak of purifying karma, bringing awareness to these unconscious forces so they no longer rule us. For Scorpio, this is essential work. Through practices such as deep meditation, ancestral healing rituals, somatic therapy, shadow integration, you can begin to release the karmic chains that do not belong to your present soul. And in doing so, you not only free yourself, you free your lineage. The path forward. Recognizing these modern traps is the first step to breaking them. Remember, the curse of the phoenix is not an eternal prison. It is an initiation path, one that demands conscious engagement and courageous hard work. In the next part of our journey, we will explore how to break these patterns through deep spiritual practice, how to integrate shadow rather than fear it, how to rise fully and unapologetically as the phoenix you were always meant to be. Because Scorpio, the world needs you in your full power, not trapped in old cycles. It is time to rise. If you recognize these traps in your own life, if you are ready to begin breaking them, declare it now. Backhand index pointing right, I break the curse. I rise. Your awakening ripples outward and helps others rise too. Candle Part 5, Breaking the Curse, the spiritual path to true Scorpio freedom candle. We have now walked through the ancient origins of the curse of the phoenix. We have seen how it manifests in modern Scorpio lives, through emotional traps, karmic cycles, and unconscious patterns. And perhaps, as you have listened, something within you has begun to stir. A quiet voice whispering, I am ready to break free. But how? How does one truly break the grip of an ancient karmic pattern? How does the phoenix rise, not in temporary flight, but in enduring, embodied power? The answer lies not in escaping the fire, but in learning to dance within it. Step 1. Owning your power. As a longtime researcher and spiritual guide, I can tell you this with certainty. The first and most essential step for any Scorpio seeking to break the curse is to fully own your power. Too many Scorpios have spent lifetimes dimming their light, shrinking to fit the comfort zones of others, afraid that their intensity will alienate, afraid that their truth will shatter illusions others cling to. But as the Buddha taught, better to speak the truth, even if it burns, than to live a life of pleasing others in falsehood. You were not born to be palatable. You were born to be transformational. Owning your power means speaking your truth, even when your voice trembles, embracing your depth without apology, living your life as a sacred fire, one that warms, not consumes. Step 2. Reclaiming your shadow. In Buddhist psychology, we speak of the 3 poisons: ignorance, attachment, and aversion. Many Scorpios unconsciously feed the poison of aversion, rejecting parts of themselves they deem too dark or too much. But the shadow is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. As the great Tibetan master Chogyam Trungpa taught, the path of the warrior is one of boldness, of meeting the demons within directly, without flinching. To reclaim your shadow is to make peace with your jealousy, understand your need for control, honor your capacity for intensity and passion, accept your deep longing for truth and connection. The phoenix cannot rise until it has embraced both its wings, light and dark. Step 3. Forgiving the past. One of the heaviest chains of the curse is unprocessed pain from the past. Betrayals, abandonments, losses that seared the soul. And while these experiences were part of your karmic path, they do not need to define your future. As the Buddha taught, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Forgiveness is not about excusing the actions of others. It is about freeing your own heart from the shackles of resentment. True forgiveness allows the phoenix to shed its old skin so that new feathers may grow. A story of the forgiving phoenix. Let me share the story of a Scorpio woman I know. I will call her Lena. Lena had carried the pain of betrayal for decades. Her partner, once the great love of her life, had left her for another. She vowed never to trust again. Her heart grew cold. Her relationships became shallow and defensive. If I love again, I will be destroyed, she told me. But through deep spiritual work, meditation, therapy, ritual, Lena began to process her grief. She wrote letters of forgiveness she never sent. She wept the unshed tears of 20 years. She sat in meditation, allowing her heart to soften, breath by breath. And in doing so, she felt something miraculous. A lightness she had not known since youth. An openness to life once more. Forgiveness did not erase her past, but it freed her future. Step 4. Alchemizing pain into purpose. This is perhaps the most beautiful aspect of the Phoenix Path, the ability to transform personal suffering into collective healing. In Buddhist terms, this is the essence of the Bodhisattva vow. I take upon myself the suffering of all beings, so that I may help liberate them. Every Scorpio who truly breaks the curse becomes a living example of this vow. Your story, your wounds, your healing becomes medicine for others, whether through art, writing, teaching, counseling, silent presence. You carry the light of the Phoenix wherever you go, and in doing so, you fulfill the highest purpose of your soul contract. Step 5. Declaring your freedom. Finally, it is vital to declare, aloud and with conviction, your commitment to breaking the curse. Words hold immense power. In Buddhist ritual, mantras are used to imprint new patterns upon the mind stream. Likewise, speaking your intention aloud plants a seed in the fertile soil of your consciousness. Say it now. Backhand index pointing right, I break the curse. I rise. Let it resonate through your being. Let it ripple through your lineage. Let it signal to the universe that you are ready to embody your full light. The ongoing path. Breaking the curse is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing path, one of courage, awareness, and radical self-love. As the Buddha taught, there is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. Likewise, there is no final escape from the Phoenix Path. There is only deeper embodiment of it. Each time life burns away what no longer serves you, meet the flames with open wings. Each time grief or betrayal knocks you down, remember, you are the Phoenix. You were made to rise. And each time you stand in your truth, unafraid of your own power, you heal not just yourself, but the world. A final thought. If you have walked this far with me, know this. You are already breaking the curse. Awareness is the first step. Commitment is the second. Embodiment is the third. And you, Scorpio, were born for this path. In the next part of our journey, we will explore the full embodiment of the Phoenix archetype, how to live as a fully integrated Scorpio, in service, in wisdom, in radiant authenticity. The world is ready for your true power. Are you? If you are ready to walk this path, if you feel the rising within you, declare it now. Backhand index pointing right, I break the curse. I rise. Together, we rise, as one Phoenix family. Candle Part 6. The Phoenix Rising. Living as your fully awakened Scorpio self-candle. We have journeyed through the ancient origins of the curse. We have explored its modern traps. We have begun to see how it can be broken through conscious practice, forgiveness, and reclaiming your true power. But now, Scorpio, comes the most sacred part of your path, learning to live as the fully awakened Phoenix. Because breaking the curse is not the end. It is the beginning of your true life. A life where your wounds become wisdom, where your intensity becomes medicine, where your shadow and light dance together in radiant wholeness. This is the destiny written in your stars, and the one you were always meant to claim. The nature of the Phoenix state. In Buddhist terms, we might call this stage the embodiment of the middle way, the path that transcends both indulgence and denial. The awakened Scorpio no longer drowns in emotional overwhelm, shrinks to fit others' expectations, reacts from unconscious wounds, seeks validation in toxic patterns. Instead, the Phoenix lives in equanimity, a radiant state of grounded presence, born from deep self-knowledge and spiritual maturity. In this state, Scorpio becomes a mirror for truth, a healer of hidden wounds, a master of emotional alchemy, a beacon of depth in a shallow world, a story of the living Phoenix. Consider the story of Maya Angelou, the legendary poet, writer, and civil rights activist. Though not always identified through her sun's sign, Maya carried the unmistakable essence of the Scorpio Phoenix. A life marked by profound trauma, including childhood assault, years of silence, where she chose not to speak, carrying the weight of unspeakable pain. A long journey of transformation through poetry, activism, and spiritual growth. Through her writing, Maya transformed personal suffering into universal wisdom. She became a voice for the voiceless, a symbol of resilience, depth, and fierce compassion. I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it. This is the heart of the Phoenix state. Not immunity from pain, but mastery of transformation. Living the Phoenix way, a spiritual framework. For Scorpio souls, the path of the awakened Phoenix aligns deeply with Buddhist wisdom. Let us explore key principles of this path. Keycap 1. Embrace impermanence. As the Buddha taught, all conditioned phenomena are impermanent. The Scorpio life is marked by constant change. Attempts to cling to the past or control the future only create suffering. The awakened Phoenix learns to flow with the cycles, to trust in the rhythm of death and rebirth. Each ending is a doorway. Each loss, an invitation to deeper freedom. Keycap 2. Practice non-attachment without numbness. Many Scorpios, after repeated betrayals, fall into the trap of emotional numbness, mistaking it for spiritual detachment. But true non-attachment is not a shutting down of the heart. It is an opening without grasping. The awakened Scorpio can love fully while knowing that all things pass, can grieve deeply without losing their center, can hold space for others without merging or rescuing. This is the dance of the Phoenix in flight. Keycap 3. Cultivate compassion through shared humanity. One of the great gifts of the Phoenix path is the cultivation of deep compassion. Having walked through fire, the awakened Scorpio sees the hidden pain in others and meets it with understanding, not judgment. As the Dalai Lama teaches, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. Your suffering was not in vain. It trained you to be a guide for others still caught in their own darkness. Compassion becomes your compass. Service becomes your joy. Keycap 4. Integrate shadow and light. The awakened Phoenix no longer fears its shadow. It embraces it as part of the whole. In Jungian terms, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Likewise, in Buddhist practice, we learn to face the kleshas, the mental afflictions, with mindful awareness. The awakened Scorpio knows anger can become fierce protection. Jealousy can become clarity about desires. Fear can become fuel for courage. Nothing is wasted. All is integrated. Keycap 5. Live in authentic service. Finally, the awakened Phoenix turns personal transformation into collective benefit. Whether through creative expression, leadership, healing work, or silent presence, your life becomes an offering. This aligns with the Bodhisattva path, choosing to remain engaged in the world, not for personal gain, but for the awakening of all beings. I vow to liberate all sentient beings. You do not need to become a monk or an activist. Your very presence, grounded, wise, compassionate, becomes a lighthouse for others. The beauty of the awakened Scorpio life. When you embody the Phoenix state, life no longer feels like an endless cycle of survival. Instead, it becomes a sacred dance of depth without drowning, power without domination, passion without attachment, service without self-neglect. You walk as one who has seen death and learned to smile in its face. You become magnetic, not because you seek attention, but because your authenticity radiates. You become unshakable, not because life no longer tests you, but because you trust your capacity to rise again and again. And most of all, you become a living embodiment of hope, proof that even the deepest wounds can become wings. Preparing for the final step. In the next part of our journey, we will complete this transformation. How to leave a lasting legacy as an awakened Scorpio. How to walk the Phoenix path as a spiritual leader in your own right. How to ensure that your rise continues for the benefit of all beings. Because remember this, Scorpio, your story is not just your own. It is a beacon for those still trapped in darkness. The world needs your light. The time to rise is now. If you are ready to live as the awakened Phoenix, if you feel this truth stirring in your heart, declare it now. Backhand index pointing right, I rise as the Phoenix. I serve as the light. Together, we rise. Together, we heal. Together, we transform. Candle Part 7, Legacy and Activation. You were born to break the pattern candle. Scorpio, you have walked with me through a long and sacred journey. We began in a hidden monastery in the year 1225. We traced the ancient imprint known as the Curse of the Phoenix, and how it shaped the Scorpio soul across lifetimes. We explored its modern traps. We learned how to break it. We saw how the awakened Scorpio can rise, not as a victim of fate, but as a beacon of transformation. But now, as we stand at the end of this journey, there is one truth you must understand. Breaking the curse is not the final step. Living your legacy is. Because every phoenix that rises leaves a trail of light for others to follow. And in a world that is drowning in illusion, distraction, and superficiality, the depth, wisdom, and authentic power of Scorpio souls are needed more than ever. The real purpose of the Phoenix Path. In Buddhist terms, we might call this the path of the Bodhisattva, the one who, having tasted liberation, vows to remain engaged in the world to help awaken all beings. For Scorpio, this means you do not rise simply to escape suffering. You rise to embody the wisdom you have earned and to serve as a living catalyst for the transformation of others. Your wounds were not random. Your betrayals were not meaningless. Your scars were not in vain. Each experience was forging you into a soul capable of radical compassion, deep truth, and unwavering presence. Now, you must decide how to use this power. The 3 gifts of the awakened Scorpio. In my years of guiding Scorpio souls, I have seen that those who truly embody the Phoenix Path offer 3 great gifts to the world. Keycap 1. The gift of deep truth. Scorpios see what others refuse to see. You pierce the masks of ego. You sense the hidden patterns beneath polite conversation. You know when someone is lying, even if they believe their own deception. This gift must be wielded with compassion. As the Buddha taught, before speaking, let your words pass through 3 gates. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Truth is a sacred blade. Use it to cut illusion, not to wound, but to liberate. Keycap 2. The gift of emotional alchemy. No one understands the transformative power of emotion like a Scorpio. While others drown in grief or flee from anger, you have the capacity to transmute these energies into wisdom, creativity, and healing. This is a profound gift in a world where emotional intelligence is sorely lacking. By living as an example of integrated feeling, neither repressing nor indulging, you teach others how to relate to their own inner worlds with courage and grace. Keycap 3. The gift of unshakable presence. There is a unique quality to the presence of an awakened Scorpio. Having walked through their own darkness, they radiate a groundedness that is both magnetic and healing. When you sit with someone in pain, they feel truly seen. When you speak your truth, others feel a resonance beyond words. This is not something you can fake. It arises naturally from the fires you have passed through. Your very being becomes a transmission of strength, depth, and compassion, a story of legacy. Consider the story of Nelson Mandela, a Scorpio soul whose life exemplified the Phoenix legacy. 27 years of unjust imprisonment, betrayal, isolation, and yet, upon his release, Mandela chose not revenge, but reconciliation. Resentment is like drinking poison and hoping it will kill your enemies, he famously said. He transformed personal suffering into collective healing, guiding a fractured nation toward unity. This is the highest expression of the Scorpio path, not just personal triumph, but the transmutation of suffering into a legacy of liberation for others. How to live your Scorpio legacy. If you feel the call to embody this path, here is a simple but powerful spiritual framework rooted in Buddhist wisdom to guide you. Keycap 1. Practice daily presence. Begin each day with mindfulness. Sit in meditation. Breathe deeply. Remember, you are not your past. You are not your wounds. You are not your story. You are the awareness that can transform all of it. Keycap 2. Serve where you are. You do not need to become famous or start a movement. Your presence is your gift. In every interaction, with family, friends, strangers, embody the wisdom you have earned. Speak with truth. Act with integrity. Hold space for others. The ripples will be felt, even if unseen. Keycap 3. Integrate. Do not isolate. Continue the work of shadow integration. Do not retreat into spiritual isolation. Remember, the Phoenix is not meant to live alone on a mountain. It is meant to fly freely, and to light fires of awakening wherever it goes. Stay engaged, stay open, stay human. The final awakening. Perhaps the deepest lesson of this entire journey is this. You were never truly cursed. You were entrusted with the rare and sacred task of transforming pain into purpose, of walking through fire so you could guide others out of the flames. This is why your life has been as it is. This is why your path has been so intense. Because the world does not need more comfort. It needs more truth, more depth, more compassion born from lived experience. And that, Scorpio, is where you shine. A final meditation. Let us close this journey with a simple reflection inspired by the words of the Buddha. As a lotus rises untainted from the mud, so shall I rise, not to escape the world, but to illuminate it. Sit quietly for a moment. Breathe. Place your hands on your heart and speak these words aloud. As an invocation of your rising. Backhand index pointing right, I am the phoenix. I rise. I serve. I illuminate. Feel these words resonate through your being. Let them seed a new pattern in your life stream. You are ready. The world is waiting. The activation moment. If this journey has awakened something within you, if you are ready to fully embody your Scorpio legacy, declare it now in the comments. Backhand index pointing right, I rise as the phoenix. I serve as the light. I illuminate my path and others. Like this video if your soul needed this fire. Subscribe for weekly Scorpio wisdom transmissions. Share this message with another Scorpio who walks in silence, so they too may rise. Because remember, every time one Scorpio rises, the collective awakens. And the time of hiding is over. The time of illumination has begun. Rise, Phoenix. Your wings were always waiting. Directed call to action, spoken from the heart. If this video stirred something in you, if you recognized yourself in these words, or you simply admire the unstoppable force of Scorpio energy, then let's keep going deeper together. Glowing stars, subscribe to this channel, The Path to Buddhist Wisdom. Because here, we don't just talk about astrology. We awaken ancient truths. We merge mysticism with mastery. And we honor every soul's path to greatness. Hit that bell. Leave a comment. And remember, the most powerful journey is the one within.